So we're out doing a bit of fishing today. The sun is shining, the air temperature's better. It is February, but I really do think the spring is in the air. So what better opportunity to tell you my top 5 early springtime tips. Now tip number 1 is balance tackle. Now I really think that this time of year, the fish are starting to feed, they're starting to have a little bit of a munch, and there is the opportunity for some big weights, but it can also be very difficult. So balance tackle, and what I mean by this is not having tackle too light and not having tackle too heavy. So for me, this time of year, fishing for F1s and carp, I'd be using sort of a 9 hollow or a 10 Dura hollow, something along those lines. It's very soft and forgiving, but it does power up, especially with a puller bung. Lines, I'd probably be looking at main lines between 0.13 and 0.15, and then hook lengths sort of 0.11. Just something that if you are on for a big weight, you can catch them and you're not going to be snapping hook lengths. Also, the bigger fish are starting to feed as well this time of year, so you need to have balanced tackle so that you can land those big bonus fish as well. Tip number 2, don't be afraid to feed a little bit of bait. You know, it is warming up through the day, the nights are cold, but starting your match off negative, but don't be afraid to feed a positive line somewhere and be quite aggressive on that line, because that line can really come into its own later in the matches and later in the sessions and could be the difference between winning and losing. Tip number 3, catapult. Now, feeding with a catapult is brilliant this time of year. As I said, the fish are starting to feed, they're starting to come on the feed, and feeding with a catapult regularly, making regular noise and having regular particles falling through the water can really be a brilliant tactic this time of year and really spur the fish onto feeding. And also, if you're lucky, if there's a bit of sun about like this, you might catch a few fish shallow. Tip number 4, have some durable hook baits with you. Now what I mean by this is expander pellets, maggots, all those type of baits are brilliant to get you bites. But as the temperature's rising and the fish are starting to feed, so are the roach and the silverfish. And they can be a bit of a nuisance this time of year. So always have some hard 6mm pellets like this, or some hard 4mm, just something a little bit more durable that you can catch your target fish on. Because you don't want to be catching loads of little roach and loads of little silvers and missing out on those F1s and carp that could win you the match. And tip number 5, make sure you land everything you hook. I know it's springtime, I know the fish are starting to come on to feed and you can catch some big weights in spring, but it can be very difficult, especially early spring like it is now. The nights are cold, it is warming up through the day, but it can be quite difficult. So on those difficult days, you want to land everything you hook. You don't want to be losing out by a couple of pound and losing fish that you could have won the match with. So make sure you take your time and land everything you hook. Don't go rushing, thinking you need £300 or £200, because it's not like that this time of year. £100 to £120 is a big weight. So I hope those tips help you and help you this spring and early spring, and hopefully you can put a few more fish in your net.